Hi, this is Joel from Goa, and I'm an educator. I teach math and science. In today's video, we are going to learn about a chapter of grade 7, and that is weather, climate, and adaptation of animals to climate. In this chapter, we are going to learn about the definition of weather, what is the meaning of climate, and how animals in particular adapt to different kinds of climate. And in this case, we are going to learn about two climates, and that is tropical and polar. So let's begin. You must have experienced whenever you are watching or
listening to a commentary for a match, they will say it's bright weather and we are all set to start a match between India and Pakistan in Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. That statement over there, when they speak about weather, is something which is very much often heard by every one of us, and it is something which is very important. Another example I will cite to you
is if you want to go to a place, your father or your mother might tell you that the weather is a little bit cloudy outside, you might want to take an umbrella. Or if you are playing in hot summer afternoon, then your mother will say you will be dehydrated, drink a lot of water. Or if you want to go out for a party, you will choose a particular attire based on how the weather is. So our daily life activities depend on this weather. And if you do a quick Google search about a weather report of your place, you will get
something like this. It will have the place where we are discussing about that weather, the time that you're looking at it, and it will also show you the temperature. And with temperature, it will start showing you precipitation, which means either a form of rainfall or snowfall. It will tell you about humidity. Humidity is nothing but the amount of water vapor in the air. Let me give you another example. If I take a container and put water and keep it on the flame, and I start to boil, that water which is in the liquid state will evaporate and come in the atmosphere, right? In the environment. Now that water has changed its state from liquid to gaseous. So that entire water is turned into water vapor and is in the air. So the amount of water vapor in the air will be called as humidity. It also will tell us about the wind speed, how much of wind is blowing in a particular distance in a particular time. Temperatures are usually measured in Kelvin, they are measured in Celsius, they are measured in Fahrenheit. Now in this case, you are seeing temperature that is 30 degrees in Celsius. If you look closely in the weather report, you will see how the weather or the temperature was in the course of time. It will also tell you how much the temperature can be expected in a future time, that is maybe 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 11, and so on. It also tells us temperature of future date, that means how the weather will be on Thursday or Friday, and so on. It gives an approximation of temperature almost a week later, a week in the future. So you need to understand over here that temperature humidity, rainfall, and wind speed are nothing but elements of weather. They together comprise the weather. We normally calculate two temperatures in a particular day, and that is the maximum temperature and the minimum temperature, which means how much was the highest temperature in 24 hours and how much was the lowest temperature in that 24 hours. That's how that is mentioned over there. In the first case, it is 32 degrees, which is the highest temperature, and 22 degrees, which is the lowest temperature. The instrument that is used to measure temperature is called as the maximum and minimum thermometer, and it looks something like this, where there are two scales which will calculate the major temperature and also the minimum temperature. You need to note that the highest temperature is always calculated in the afternoon, while the minimum temperature is calculated early in the morning. We heard so much about weather. Let us look at the definition of weather. The day-to-day condition of the atmosphere with respect to the temperature, humidity, rainfall, and wind speed is called as weather. A day-to-day condition, something that is changing in a particular time, that is in those 24 hours, then we call it as weather. Again, looking at this weather report, if you look carefully, this weather report is given by the meteorological department of the government. So they are the ones who give us this weather report. Now, it can tell us the future weather also, right? So who does this? The meteorologist does it. He is an expert who gives us this information. They use all sorts of data and science to give us this information. The rainfall is measured with a particular instrument called as the rain gauge, and it looks something like this. It is just a funnel which has a measuring cylinder, so it calculates the amount of water collected in an open space, and rainfall is usually measured in millimeters. That is why you will see that the rainfall on a particular day will be said as 30 mm. That mm means millimeter. Now what we are going to do is we will try and record all the day's maximum temperatures from 3rd August to 9th August, and this is what it looks. And now we will try to plot this on a graph. So here I have a graph, and let me plot the day 3 as 26 degrees. So that will give us this information marked on the graph. Next, for 4th of August, let us mark 23.5 and 25 for the next day. On 6th of August, let us mark 22. On 7th August, let us mark 25.5. 8th of August, 23.3, and 9th of August as 24.4. Now, if I connect all those dots, then you will get something like this. You must have experienced in a class whenever your teacher conducts a test and the test that you all have answered was really good, then the teacher will say, y'all really did a fantastic job. Or if it is low, then she will say, y'all have not done a very good job. Or she might do an action like this, y'all have performed average. Now, this average is nothing but y'all have not done extremely good, nor y'all have done extremely bad. Y'all are in the middle. So, an average of maximum temperature is what we mean by from the 3rd of August to 9th of August. What is that one temperature we can look at comprising of all these days, and how do we calculate it? Very simple. We take the temperature of all these days and add it up and divide that number by the number of days. If I want to calculate the average temperature for 2021, then all I will do is calculate the temperature or start adding it from the 1st of January, then 2nd of January till 31st of December. Add all these maximum temperatures and divide it by 365. That will give me an average temperature, which will be just one number. So that will be my mean average temperature. An IMD report in Times of India on the 2nd of April 2022 mentioned that this March was country's hottest in 122 years. Can you imagine the data that IMD keeps with them? The amount of data that is recorded? What is IMD? It is nothing but Indian Meteorological Department. So they keep a record of all the data. So whenever we talk about average pattern or average temperature, that is calculated over a long period of time. So the average weather pattern, that may be temperature, rainfall, wind speed, everything together for a period of long duration, that is of 25 years or so, we can say we are defining it as climate. And India typically has tropical monsoon climate. So we have data of two particular places in India, and they are completely extreme. One is in the north and the other one is in south of India. So we have calculated the average temperature from January, February till December of this particular place, and also the mean temperature of the place in the south. The one is in Jammu and Kashmir, the other one is in Kerala. And if you look carefully at the maximum and minimum temperatures of these two different places, you will realize that the temperatures in Jammu and Kashmir are significantly very small as compared to the temperature that is in Kerala. That is, in Jammu and Kashmir you will see negative numbers, that is negative 2.3 or 7.7, or in December it was negative 1.6. Whereas in Kerala you will see temperatures like 22 degrees, then in the month of August it is 23, and in December it is 22. Which means we can say that comparatively Jammu and Kashmir has a little colder climate as compared to Kerala. Also, if you notice the amount of rainfall, the mean rainfall in Jammu and Kashmir, you will see in 50s or less than 100. Whereas in Kerala, you will see it more than 100 in most of the times, which means it has a lot of rainfall. We can also say that Kerala has hot and humid or moist climate or wet climate because there is more amount of rainfall and the temperature is hot as compared to Jammu and Kashmir. Let us take another state, for example, Rajasthan. The temperature in Rajasthan is always high, and during the winters are extremely low. But since the climate is mostly hot, we say that Rajasthan has hot and dry climate. Let us take example of North Indian states. Most of the times they receive plenty of rainfall, and this tells us that the North Indian state have climate which is wet. So when we talk about this climate,
there is always an effect of climate on soil. It has an effect on animals and it has effect on vegetation. But in particular, this video, we are going to focus and concentrate more on how the effect of climate is on animals. And we are going to look at the animals found in the polar region and also animals found in the tropical rainforest. The maps tell us where exactly these countries are located, and the polar regions usually have countries like Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, etc. And the tropical rainforest regions are mostly India, Malaysia, Indonesia,
Brazil, Nigeria, and so on. So, what are the characteristics of polar regions? They present an extreme climate. So, the climate over there is not just cold, it's very cold. In winters, the temperature can drop as low as -37. If you hold an ice cube, the ice cube has a temperature of 0 degrees and we feel it is very cold. But this temperature goes to -37. So you can imagine and understand how cold the polar regions are. The regions are mostly covered with snow and they are extremely cold. And in spite of this, we want animals to be surviving in this particular region. Let us look at this bear. Now, everyone can notice this bear on an ice land, right? But I'm sure you missed on observing this polar bear that was hiding. So the white fur of the polar bears helps them to be a good predator and catch prey, and also to save themselves from other animals to be captured. Another adaptation that we can see in a polar bear is they have a very strong sense of smell. It helps the polar bear to catch any prey very easily and to locate them very quickly. Polar bear can walk easily only because of their sharp claws. They have a strong layer of fat under their skin. It protects them from the extreme climate. They have two layers of fur. One is a transparent layer and the other one is a short which is white in color. The transparent layer will allow light to pass, ultraviolet light, and help them to keep them warm, whereas this tiny fur helps them to trap that heat and keep them warm throughout the winters. Another example of animals is penguins. They look pretty. I'm sure you like to see them the way they walk. They always walk in herdles, which means they always like to go together. For example, you and your friends will always want to move around the school with a group, a bunch of you all, right? Because you like each other's company. But with regards to penguins, they like to go in herdles only to keep themselves warm. The second adaptation that they have is they have thick layer of skin and a lot of fat to protect them from cold. Penguins have a streamlined body. What it means is, if you notice, they have almost a shape like a fish. This streamlined body helps them to be good swimmers. They also have webbed feet. That means a layer of skin covering between their feet, which helps them to push a lot of water when they are swimming, and which also makes them good swimmers. The other animals that are found are in polar regions are fishes, musk, oxen, reindeers, foxes, seals, whales, birds. Adaptation is also seen in birds. When the climate changes or the weather changes and becomes extremely cold, there are these particular birds that will fly from the colder region to countries which are hotter. And one of the example is the Siberian cranes. They travel from Siberia to a place in Bharatpur in Rajasthan and also Sultanpur in Haryana. So they are moving from their own country to a completely different country only to survive in cold weather. So that is a kind of adaptation that they go through. The animals found in tropical forest are various, but before that, let us look at the characteristics of tropical rainforest. This is the places where you will see the kind of countries in the tropical rainforest, and if you notice, it is either above or below the equator. As we all know, equator is a place which has hotter temperatures, and tropical rainforests have hot temperatures and a lot of rainfall, because of which they have many different kinds of animals in the place. Even the coldest month in the tropical rainforest is 15 degrees Celsius. There are plenty regions where they get enough of rainfall, and because of which there are different types of animals that are found. Let us look at a few adaptations. These are the animals that we are going to look at. So let us start with the first one, and that is the red-eyed frog. It has sticky pads which helps them to climb up trees very easily. Another adaptation is of a bird called toucan. It has a long and a large beak. Because of this large beak, the bird can sit on the topmost branch of the tree and eat those fruits and nuts that are growing on that tree. Another adaptation is of the lion-tailed macaw. It's also known as the beard ape because it has white fur all around the face. This particular animal has adapted so much, and it spends maximum time on just living on trees because it can get whatever it wants on the tree. It has adapted so much that it doesn't feel the need to even come on the ground. Imagine this: I put you in a room where there is self-contained toilet, you get food. Why would you want to move outside? For a particular time, you will get adapted to that room and you are very happy in the confinement of that room, right? Same like this lion-tailed macaw. If they are good climbers, they can just move on trees very easily. Another adaptation that is seen in animals is lion and tigers. They have thick skin and very sensitive to hearing. They can hear even the finest particular sound. Other adaptations seen are in chameleons, where these animals change and camouflage with the background that they are in. If you notice carefully, this particular chameleon is adjusting its body and creating a color to camouflage with the leaf that is there behind. And lastly, we have the elephants. They have long tusks, big ears, and strong trunk. The trunk helps them to pick up food from the ground. The tusks help them to break the trees that they like to eat. And the ears are very sensitive to even the finest sound. So I hope with this you are able to understand this chapter, that is weather, climate, and adaptation of animals to climate. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and hearing me and learning from this video. Till then, keep enjoying learning and let's make learning interesting. Thank you.